The capital city of Uzbekistan, Tashkent, often gets a little bit overlooked because the other stuff the country has to offer, like Samarkand, like Bukhara, the places we've been discovering over the past couple of days. People often use this more as a passing through place, either to get to those parts of the country or to arrive from or leave to Kazakhstan. And I'm also guilty of that. If you remember the other day when I got here from Kazakhstan, I went straight through to Bukhara. I didn't even think about staying in Tashkent first. However, since falling in love with the country a little bit over the past couple of days, I think I at least owe the capital city a look around, see if it's worth the stay, see what it's really like here. And so, once again, we're going to go for a bit of a stroll, explore some of the sites and just have a look, see if it warrants more than just a passing visit. And immediately we're faced with something brand new in Uzbekistan, at least as far as our trip is concerned. This is the first place of Christian worship, I believe, that we've seen in this country. This is the Cathedral of the Holy Dormition, also known as the Cathedral of the Assumption of the Virgin Mary. It's a 19th century Russian Orthodox church. And it's a pretty swanky one, isn't it? Tasty little church, that. It was originally built in 1871, then it was closed for worship in 1933, reopened for worship in 1945, and then renovated in 1990 to make it into what we see today. Nice little bazaar this. Bought a banana. This is Mirabod Bazaar. It's actually quite a nice one. It's really like spaced out and stuff. It doesn't smell. More like an open air supermarket, I reckon, than normal bazaar. As you might know, I normally detest bazaars. They're usually really cramped, they stink, and they sell absolute rubbish that no one even wants, like fake sunglasses and watches and stuff. But that one was alright. It's not the main bazaar of the city, so I'm not going to stick around in it or anything, but yeah, that was decent. I reckon if you can keep your bazaar clean and in order and respectable, then the rest of your city is probably in pretty good nick as well, innit? And now it's time to have a go on Tashkent's metro system. Yep, pretty good, pretty undergroundy. That cost 1200 som, which is the equivalent of 11 English pence. And it's brought us here. Bloody hell, look at the size of this. That is the evidently quite large Hotel Uzbekistan. It's an old Soviet building, it's still used today as a hotel, and it stands right next to, in stark contrast, this thing. This is called the Palace of International Forums, I believe, and as far as I can tell, it's an entirely useless building. It's only actually used for when important people turn up in Uzbekistan and they need somewhere to hold a meeting. Apart from that, it's this massive white shiny thing that does nothing in the meantime except provide quite an interesting comparison between old and new. I didn't actually travel over here to have a look at those buildings. I came here for the lovely green space they've got. This is a square named after, of course, our best mate Timur, and those two buildings just overlook it. As with everywhere else we've been so far in Uzbekistan, this place is absolutely immaculate. There's no litter anywhere. And this place, the square of Emir Timur, provides some well-needed shade. Loads of lovely trees hanging about. I don't know if these two symmetrical clock towers hold any significance, but they're pretty mint. Yeah, nice little green space that. Enjoyed that. Timur Square. Decent. By the way, if you don't know who Timur is or why he's become our best mate over the past couple of days, it might be worth watching one of my previous videos. I talk about him at length. And if you have seen one of those two videos, you'll be able to probably appreciate how very different this city feels to the places we've been so far. Obviously they're not even slightly comparable cities, Samarkand and Bukhara, with Tashkent. In fact, it almost feels like I'm in a different country again. I got that used to being around enormous, Timurid, historic architecture that I've forgotten that things like this even existed. This is gorgeous, this. This bit's dead nice, isn't it? Look at these fountain things. I'm pretty sure they're trying to make love arts. How adorable is that? Little things like this are dead swanky and all. Look at this little passageway thing. In 1966 there was a massive earthquake in Tashkent. It destroyed pretty much everything, killed a few hundred people and left 300,000 people homeless. So they had to rebuild the whole city basically, and here is a monument dedicated to the new Soviet men and women who helped to rebuild it after the earthquake. And then down at this end of the monument we've got a block, a cracked block, with the time and date of the earthquake, 26th of April 1966, and about 23 minutes past 5. It is almost thanks to that earthquake and the fact that the city had to be rebuilt from the ground up in the 60s and 70s that Tashkent is such an up-to-date city. Big, wide boulevards, massive open spaces. It was reconstructed with the modern world in mind because it had to go through all of that so recently. Uzbekistan is the most populous Central Asian country, just over 30 million people living here, 2 to 3 million of which live here in Tashkent, but it doesn't feel even slightly congested because of its brand new city plan. Everything's massive, it can cater for them, so it's not an unpleasant place to be. And here we are inside the stunning Minor Mosque, also called the White Mosque for obvious reasons, and you might also be able to tell that it's brand spanking new. This one was built in 2014. This mosque just goes to show that despite Timur dying, leaving behind his legacy pieces like in Samarkand, Uzbekistan still knows how to build a mosque. If you have seen the Samarkand videos, then that kind of intricate detailing is going to look familiar to you, and that's because this was built with both modern and traditional styles in mind, and what a cracking job they made of it. That massive thing behind me, not the lamppost, that thing, the TV tower, that's the TV tower of Tashkent, and it is of absolutely no importance whatsoever except for the fact that it's the tallest building in Central Asia at 375 metres. So there you go. Another good thing about Uzbekistan is how you can literally just get in anyone's car and there'll be a taxi for you. It was the same in Kazakhstan, I'm sure it's the same in the rest of Central Asia, but anyway, it's dead useful that. Over here at Hazrat Iman Ensemble or Square, we have another handful of examples of how Uzbekistan still knows how to build stunning traditional looking architecture. We've got the classic madrasa and mosque set up. In fact, that mosque was built in 2007 and took only 4 months to complete, by the way. But the most important thing on this whole ensemble is this, the Moi Mubarak Library. Moi Mubarak means the sacred hair, and the library is named that because in there is apparently a hair from the Prophet Muhammad's head. And if you think that sounds like a little bit of a long shot, well, the next bit definitely is not, because in there is also the world's oldest copy of the Quran. It's actually stained with the blood of a guy called Caliph Uthman, who was assassinated while reading it in Medina in 656 AD. The oldest ever Quran, written on deer skin in fact. You can normally go in there and have a look at said relics, but as you can probably tell, it's getting quite late, so it's closed. But even without going in and looking at it for ourselves, you can still take my word that although Tashkent is a modern city, there's a lot more to it than just some shiny bricks. And I reckon on that note, I'm going to call it a day. There's a lot to Tashkent that I've not had a look at, but I think the things that I managed to see just go to show that, you know what, Tashkent is a pretty mint city. I'm really surprised, having seen what I've seen today, that so many people either recommend against going or just don't bother in the first place. The general consensus seems to be that of the Central Asian region, the best city, the best all-round place to visit is Almaty in Kazakhstan. We've been to Almaty in Kazakhstan. You saw what it looked like. I was there. It was pretty good, but I reckon Tashkent batters it. I think this is absolutely ace. I have taken it a bit more slowly today, but hopefully you've still seen enough that if you are thinking about coming, you're now convinced that it is worth a stop in Tashkent, a proper stop, a proper visit, not just skipping through to the bus or train station, but a proper look around. I reckon this is a brilliant city. Uzbekistan's really made its mark on me in the past few days. Bukhara, Samarkand and now Tashkent have all been absolutely brilliant stops from the trip. In fact, when I was in Kazakhstan, someone commented on the video saying I'd skip Uzbekistan. Well, I'm dead glad that I didn't, because it's been dead good. Anyway, I am going to be leaving Uzbekistan tomorrow. I'm going to be crossing the border into Kyrgyzstan. So the next time you see me, we're going to be tackling another land border together, and then we'll be in country 3 of the trip. So yeah, Kazakhstan was good. Uzbekistan has been excellent. Let's have a look at what Kyrgyzstan's got to offer. Cheers boys, see you in a bit.